Hi, everybody. Welcome to Life Stories Ministries Making a Difference. I'm Shara Goswick, your host, and I'm so glad that you're here. Today on the podcast, I speak with Nathan Walters from Mission Discovery. Mission Discovery helps set people up on mission trips, and they send them all over the world. There's a lot more involved to it, but that's what they do. Our word of the week this week
It's the word of the week.
is expectations. Have you ever gone into a situation, a new trip, a new place, a new job, and had these expectations and thought you knew exactly how things were going to go, and then it was very different? That's what Nathan said happens on mission trips. You know, a lot of people go on these trips having expectations, thinking this is what's going to happen, and they realize it's nothing like what they expected, but it's always better. He said that, you know, when you go on a mission trip, you need to probably just hold your expectations very loosely. I think when you are doing anything for the Lord, when you are serving in any capacity, I think we need to do that. We need to hold our expectations loosely because it's really not about us. If it's about us, we're probably not doing it for the right reason. Serving like these people are doing, these volunteers are doing, going to different countries and these places and communities where people need help. It's not about them. That's not why they do it. And I believe that they see God move in big ways when they're doing that. I'm excited to share this program with you. I hope that you will look into it. If you've ever wanted to go on a mission trip and weren't sure how to get started, Mission Discovery is a great place to start. I thank you for being here. Have a great day. Well, thanks so much for talking to me today. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know a lot about mission trips. I've not ever been on a mission trip. I've talked to lots of people that have been, but I know it's a really important thing that goes on, and I'm excited to hear about Mission Discovery. Did you start Mission Discovery?
I didn't. No. Mission Discovery was started by a guy named Maury Buchanan,
Okay.
and it was back in 1991. So I was,
Okay.
goodness. I mean,
Were
if I
you born
started
yet?
this, I was born in '84. So I guess
Okay.
that's what, 7 years old.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't start it. He started it. He worked as a youth pastor here
Okay.
in Hendersonville, Tennessee. That's where our office is, and he got this idea to start a missions organization, and he was real nervous about it. His wife made an appointment with his pastor, and so he went and met with the pastor, and the pastor said, "Maury, would God call you to do a God-sized thing or a Maury-sized thing?"
Right.
And he left. He didn't answer the question. So, but you know what the answer is. So,
Right.
so later on, he started Mission Discovery right there at his kitchen table, and here we are, 33 years later, going
Yeah.
strong, bringing people around the world. Yeah.
That's amazing. So tell me how this works. What exactly does Mission Discovery do?
Great question. Well, so we our goal is to mobilize what we say mobilize the church. We use big words, when we talk about mission statements, we use big words. So mobilize the church to meet
Yeah.
the physical and spiritual needs of the world's poor. That's our mission statement. But really, what we're doing is basically we've got ministry partners all around the world,
Hmm.
right here in the States as well. So we got a lot of people that come to the States or come to Nashville, go somewhere else to serve. But we also have ministry partners in Jamaica, Guatemala, South Africa, everywhere. And so we've got these long-lasting relationships with these ministry partners. So when a church says, "Hey, I want to go and I want to bring a team of people to experience what it's like to see Guatemala or to have a different perspective or whatever it is," we say, well, we can do that. Well, we got a mission trip for that. So we go to Guatemala, we build homes, we work with the school there. And yeah, so what inevitably happens though is the teams come and I like to say when I went on my first mission trip, I went to actually, it was my second mission trip. When I went on my second mission trip, it was to Tecate, Mexico, and I went there, and I was like, "I'm going because Tecate needs me," and I left realizing that I needed Tecate just as much. So it was just,
Yeah,
your heart changes on those trips. So yeah, it's cool. It's a cool
I
thing.
bet. Well, we think of missions and we do think overseas. We think of these third world countries and places but y'all do mission trips even in the United States. What kind of things do y'all do here? The same kind of stuff, or is it
Well,
kind of
no,
depends on the area?
yeah, the United States has codes reinforcement. You know what I mean? We're never going to build a home,
Right. Right.
the way that we do
It
in
would be very
Mexico
different
or
to do that
Guatemala.
here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Not to say our homes aren't safe. They are. It's just, they're very basic. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, in the States, what we do, like I live in Nashville and
Mhm.
we've got tons of teams come to Nashville. And where are you located?
I'm in Texas.
Well, we're in Nashville, and so like we
Mhm.
do something. We worked forever down in the valley in Texas,
Yeah.
so building homes on the other side of the border there, and then we came back over to this side and worked on homes on this side of the border, which is really, really some places that you wouldn't believe are in the United States are down there,
Right.
and just it's a huge blessing to be a part of those people's lives still. So, but yeah, in Tennessee, it's like home repair. We build wheelchair ramps for people that can't get in and out of their house. We built a
Yeah.
wheelchair ramp for a guy one time. Said, "Man, you have no idea. Now I can go out and check my mail without getting stuck in the mud.
Oh
Things you
gosh.
don't think about, in
Yeah.
your everyday life." But yeah, we also partner with food pantries. We've got this wonderful housing complex that is low income housing, and really a
Yeah.
lot of missionaries will come back from the field and live in this low income housing area. So fixing those up. It's just really
Oh,
anything and everything. We believe that God is at work, everywhere, and so we just find where He's at work, and we get front row seats to it, and if
that's
we get to be
awesome.
partners with Him and doing the things that we get to do, then that's a blessing to us. So yeah,
Yeah. What for somebody that's never been on a mission trip before, especially going maybe to another country, what
yeah.
can they expect when they're going? Like how do you prepare people to go on those trips?
I say don't expect anything.
Yeah.
Hold your expectations very, very loosely.
Yeah.
Yeah, first rule on a mission trip is just be flexible. Just when you come to it, to let's say you're going to Guatemala, you're gonna go to where we stay at a hotel and anywhere really in Guatemala. Some places in the city are a bit different, but don't flush your toilet paper. You have to use the trash cans
Wow.
beside the toilets to dispose of your toilet paper. And so all these little things are just different, in these other countries. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, when you come with your expectations and, you want your nice comfy bed or, you don't think there's going to be bugs in your room or something, I mean, just silly stuff that here in the States, we might be like, oh man, this is really, awful. I found a bug on the floor or something like that.
Right.
Well, that's gonna happen. So so yeah, I mean it's just, I would say be flexible. You're gonna come on these mission trips and if you're not there for the right reasons, it shows.
Right.
So I just say come prepared, come with a heart that's open to serve, come with a heart that's open to hear from God because that's gonna
Yeah.
happen there and yeah, it's just hold your expectations very loosely when you go on a trip.
Yeah. I guess you got to get it out of your head. It's not a vacation. It's
It's not a vacation, I'll
it's
tell you
just
that. Yeah, yeah. It
So
does,
have you
but it does so much more for you than a vacation
Oh
does.
yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Now a vacation's great if you just need to rest. These aren't
Right.
rest trips.
Right.
But when I'll give you an example. We have a lot of people ask us, and this may be one of your questions, what types of groups come on our trips? And I can answer,
Mhm.
high school, middle school, college, whatever groups want to come, we take. And one of the groups that we do take that a lot of people um, uh, like other groups like us don't take these kind of is families. And
Oh
what we've
wow.
seen is like family transformation is incredible on these trips. You bring a whole
Yeah.
family on this, and it's like the whole family changes. And we
Wow.
had a family come with us this year that I've never been on two vacations in a year. I've hardly been on one vacation in a year. But this family went on two vacations, one in January, one in the spring, and they have two kids. And they said, we really felt like the kids they sat on their phone. They didn't really appreciate what we were doing. You know what I mean? And so for the summer, we decided not to do a vacation. We were going to take them to Guatemala to give
Oh
them some
wow.
perspective. You know what I mean? And it's like, and so it's really
Wow.
cool. They show up in Guatemala. They help build a home. And it's just like
Yeah.
this family is now well involved with Mission Discovery, and to the point where their son wants to be an intern with us.
Oh my
So
goodness.
yeah, so it's like you know, this kid that wasn't really engaging in a vacation is completely engaged, playing with every kid that he can find, you know, on this mission trip. So it's really cool to see.
That's amazing. So do y'all
Yeah.
y'all send people from Mission Discovery on the trips when the people want to go
Absolutely.
wherever?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. Yeah, you know, we have project coordinators that lead these trips. They actually, you know, it's not just about leading the trip, it's about partnering with the churches that are going and partnering with our
Yeah.
ministry partners and coming up with a vision for what we want to accomplish there and how we can all work
Oh,
together to make these things happen. So it's not just like, hey, I'm here leading a trip. No, we've made some relationship along the way in the planning process. So
yeah.
yeah, but mission discovery project coordinators will go on these trips. And actually, what a lot of people don't know is that our project coordinators raise their funds to work here. So, you know,
Oh,
I don't know if,
wow.
yeah, I don't know if you know, a regular missionary that goes out to the field, that's part of what they do is they will raise their funds to make sure they
Yeah.
can minister to whoever
Sure.
or whatever community. And so our project coordinators, including me, when I started in Mission Discovery back in 2013, I got hired. It took me about 9 months to raise my salary to work at Mission
Wow.
Discovery. Yeah, yeah,
That's wild. Man, it
yeah,
makes you respect even more what you're doing, when you've got that much invested in it, working that hard to raise some money to do it. That's awesome.
yeah. Well, we all feel called. You know,
Sure.
it's not just your, you know, when I was raising money, I was working at a restaurant,
Right.
and so it was hard to do both. But it's not like that. You know, you feel called to something, you're passionate about it, and it's just,
Absolutely.
yeah, it makes all the difference in the world.
Absolutely. So have you been on a lot of mission trips yourself?
Yeah, more than I can count. I mean, it's
Oh,
well
really?
over 100, I would say. I mean,
Oh my goodness.
yeah, well over, well over. Probably closer to 150, 200. I would have to go back and
Oh my
look, but yeah.
goodness. Or
Yeah.
has it all been with Mission Discovery that you've
Most of it. I've only done one mission trip outside of Mission
Oh, okay.
Discovery, and that was my first mission trip to Uganda, and
Wow.
it changed my life. That was the one that, you know, it captured my heart. Okay, this is what I'm supposed to do. I know I'm supposed to do
Yeah.
missions, and so God kind of let me see, you know, what that looked like, and then, you know, after a while, I was like, well, how do I do it? I have no idea, you know. So
Yeah.
it was kind of like you know, a long story of God opening one door and then another door and then another door. And, you know, my first mission trip, when I knew I was supposed to do missions, that was 2007. And I didn't start in mission discovery until 2014. So
Oh,
7 years of
yeah.
knowing what I'm supposed to do
Wow.
and then walking into it. Yeah.
Why are these important? Why are these trips important that people are taking to go help do these things?
Yeah, why are they important? So it's like what I said earlier. When I went to Tecate, Mexico, I went and basically somebody invited me to go to lead worship for a team. So
Mm,
we have worship leaders that, you know, at night we
right.
have these sessions where we have worship, we have what we call God sightings where we share how we've seen God during the day, and then we have somebody gives a message. So every night is
Yeah.
like that. If you've ever been to a Christian camp, we always have these
Yeah.
nightly sessions. It's kind of the same thing.
Sure.
And so I got invited to Mexico to lead worship just randomly. This guy I did not know said I could go and do it. So I went there for a week. That week we built 8 homes and
Wow.
had VBS and the whole deal. And I'm looking at this like this is incredible. I want to know more. And so, you know, it's all about being the hands and feet of Christ. And I mean, just kind of digging deep into what it looks like in mission discovery. And I loved it so much that I stayed the next week. I was supposed to be on a flight to go home, and
Oh,
I
wow.
didn't. Yeah, I stayed the next week. I was like, I gotta stay, and it was just, you know, the deal is for me. This is my story. It's like I go to Mexico expecting one thing, like
Right.
thinking that Mexico needs me. And I come back and I'm realizing that I needed Mexico, you know, more.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of like what I shared earlier. It's the change, you know, that happens
Yeah.
on a week like this is incredible, especially if you haven't been outside of the country. Travel, and I heard somebody say this, travel is important, you know. And whether you're doing a mission trip or not, it's important to get out of your own yard and go see the world that's
Right.
around us, you know, to have those experiences, to have our eyes opened to different ways of life, you know. And so that piece alone is important. But when you
That's
add in the
good.
service element, the treating others better than the way you'd like to be treated, um, then it just becomes a whole different environment, and so that's really what we do is set the stage. We create an environment for people to experience God in a new way, than
Yeah.
a different way than they ever have before. So I don't know. It's been important to me. So
Yeah,
I'll say that. I think it's been important to a lot of people. So yeah.
absolutely. What about the people that say, well, there's work that needs to be done in the United States. There's people that are poor here. There are people that can't do this here.
Hmm.
Why are we sending people all over the world? What do you
Yeah.
say to people like that?
Do it.
Why are you
Okay.
complaining about it?
Yeah.
Just do
Yeah.
it.
If you see that there is work to be done in your backyard or your
Right.
neighbor's backyard, or there's needs on the street and people are suffering because they don't have food or water, then
Yeah.
change the situation. You're invited.
Right.
It's not. That's my
Right.
answer to that. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
the people that generally will say things like that, it's not that they're wrong. I think they're completely right. I think there's needs everywhere.
Right.
And if God shows you a need, then by all means meet it. That's what we're
Yeah.
called to do. And so, but don't discount the needs that are somewhere else just because we have needs here.
Right.
There's no limit to the amount of needs that we can meet on this world, on this planet. And
Absolutely.
and so, goodness, yeah. So, and then also, I think some people, if you read the gospel, you say, well, so Jesus called them to go to Judea, Samaria, and to the ends of the earth, kind of like
Right.
starting here, branching a little out, and then to the ends of the earth. So
Yeah.
we're invited to do that. We all are. Um, Somebody told me one time that sometimes you have to go to the ends of the earth to see how God's working there to bring that vision and those stories back
Yeah.
home, back to your Judea, back to your Samaria. So, and I see that too. It's those stories that you experience, the way you experience God and somewhere else uh,
Yeah.
really stirs your heart to bring those stories back home. I should. There was this girl that was in Mexico a couple years ago, and her deal was she was with her dad and her sister, and her dad had just become a Christian, started going to this church, and they were doing this mission trip, and so she was like, "Yeah, I'll go, I'll join," and with her sister, but the deal was she wasn't a Christian. And her mom wasn't
Mm.
a Christian. Her mom didn't show up. Her mom was actually Wiccan.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, so very different, and so her goal that trip was to disrupt the trip. If anybody talked about Jesus, which we do a lot, I mean, it's a mission trip, all that stuff, she would disrupt it. She wanted to be the disruption. And so that was on Sunday. So Sunday she shows up. By Tuesday, she's decided to follow Christ. And by
Wow.
Friday, her and her sister are being baptized by their dad and their youth pastor in the pool.
Oh my goodness.
So
That's
that's
awesome.
that's the kind of thing that we see all the time on these trips.
Yeah.
It's those life-changing things. So yeah, yeah.
Well, I was going to ask you if there was anything that ever, I mean, I'm sure you have 1,000 stories, but if there was a story that stood out to you, that's one.
That's
Definitely.
one. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
one. Gosh, there's all kinds of stories that stand out to
Yeah.
me. Working in Haiti was like working in, we don't go to Haiti anymore because it's too
Right.
dangerous.
Right.
We still support our work there. We planted 14 plus churches there,
Wow.
and water stations, and we're involved in a feeding program right now and making sure people are getting fed when acute hunger is just rampant right now. So,
Right.
but going to Haiti, just I remember, the culture was just, it's so different. People are operating out of a sense of desperation there.
Yeah.
Everyone is so desperate there. And so it's really like a lot of the other places that we go, are not like that. There are needs and there's poverty for sure. But in Haiti, it's like
Yeah.
everybody is in poverty. Another story from Haiti, I would say, is I told you about our family trips and how families get,
Yeah.
just transformed. And so I had a guy come. He brought his family, and one of his daughters just grew really attached to the culture there in Haiti, to the people, the kids,
Yeah.
and she came back to the States and she wrote a devotional for these kids, and
Wow.
and then hired somebody. This was back before you could just do whatever on the internet to get it
Right.
translated, but she had to go actually find somebody hire them to translate the
Wow.
devotional. Then she raised enough money on her own to print 100 copies of that devotional. And we
Oh my
got on a
goodness.
plane and brought them back to the kids at the church and at the school for these kids to
Oh
have something.
wow.
And here it's like, oh, cool, another book. There
Right.
it's like, oh my goodness, it's a
Yeah.
book and it's mine and I can put my name in it and I can write, I can't, you know what I mean? It's a different world.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
That's
yeah.
amazing. How do you feel like, since you've been working with Mission Discovery, how do you feel like it's changed you?
How has it not changed me?
Right? Is that the better question?
I, I go on these trips and I told you I've done like over 100 trips.
Yeah.
So you would expect like it would become monotonous, but
Right.
inevitably there's always something that I'm learning or God's showing me on these trips. That's number one. It never gets old. Um, But I don't. Without Mission Discovery, I don't have the life that I have now. I met my wife on a Mission Discovery trip, and
Wow.
we got married a few years later. So our son's here. Um, yeah, I said he's on these pictures here.
Yeah.
Our son. My wife. I'm completely changed just in every way by
Yeah.
Mission Discovery. But if I'm talking about, and I know that there's been a lot of people that got married from a Mission Discovery trip, but so there, that's not a guarantee, but
Right.
it could happen,
That's right.
Uh, but no, I think you know, it's in a more real sense, like a spiritual sense, it's mission discovery. There's something about the trips that cause you to rely, something about going away from home that makes you a little uneasy, causes you to rely more on God or even like your leaders around you
Sure.
than normal everyday life. And so,
Yeah.
um, so it's just like I'm always being drawn closer to Jesus, trying to walk closer with Him, and
That's awesome.
you can't be a Christian leader and not have your own relationship with Christ. So
Right.
it's almost like a requirement of the job that I dig in and dig deep,
Yeah.
with my relationship with Christ, or else, you know, what's all this for?
Right.
What are we doing?
Exactly.
I can't lead without that grounding. And so I
Sure.
think a lot of people may try and it doesn't work out in the long run. So
I
yeah,
can imagine it would. So if
yeah.
somebody wanted to sign up to work and work with Mission Discovery to go on the trips and to lead, how do they do that? What do they need to do?
Well, I mean, it's easy that we got a website, missiondiscovery.org. And
Okay.
so you can kind of go on there, poke around, see if there's anything that kind of stands out to you. We've got locations there. We've got different things that we do in the locations there. So just about all the information
Is
can
on
be
the
found
website.
on the site. And you just click a button and you fill out a form, and April here at the office just gives you a call or an email, and you start talking back and forth. And what we do is we just find the right place for you. A lot of times when you go on the website, you might say, this place looks awesome. And then you start
Yeah.
digging into it more and you're like, well, maybe this place is where God's actually calling me to go. So it's
Yeah.
um it's it's all about finding a good fit.
Yeah.
So we spend a lot of time actually in the mode
Yeah.
of, I want to go here, but maybe that's not looking right. So maybe we go here instead, and trying to find the best fit for every group.
Yeah. Are there people that y'all send that go and stay in places, or does everybody go on a trip and come back to where you are?
Yeah, I mean, well, so we've got an internship program where they will stay, for
Yeah.
however long, but most of our trips are, you go in and you come back, and then
Yeah.
you come back the next year, and you come back the next year or something like that.
Yeah.
If you're on staff here, then you're staying longer. If you're an
Yeah.
intern, you're staying longer. You have that option to stay longer if you'd like.
Sure.
But yeah, so yeah, we
Okay.
used to have a 7-month mission trip where we hopped
Wow.
from place to place to place, and yeah, and that was awesome, but it
Yeah,
was
that's a long trip.
pre-COVID. Yeah, it was pre-COVID. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
I can't imagine. Did that affect y'all in a big way
Oh
during the COVID?
goodness.
Didn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, we were taking, a lot more people on mission trips, and then COVID hit and just knocked us out,
Yeah.
and so it was a lot of yeah, you have to revamp everything that you do, and I
Yeah.
think everybody had to. You had to
Oh,
pivot,
sure.
and the quicker and better you pivoted, the I guess the maybe the more purpose you found during that time. I think that
Mhm.
time was really hard for a lot of people, a lot
Yeah.
harder for some people than it was for me, for sure. And so, yeah.
So how can people support Mission Discovery? What can they do besides pray for the workers and the people that are doing? What else can they do to support?
Yeah, pray for us. What I like to, I know that from my wife and I, we sit down, we make our budget for the year. We know how much we are, going to give
Right.
toward our church and toward charitable organizations. Whatever our favorite charity is, that's what's going to get the bulk of our money. So I like to tell people, remember, Mission Discovery is your favorite charity.
There you
We're
go.
ready. We can accept. We're
Yeah.
accepting now. But yeah, I mean, our whole thing, we're fundraised. I mean, that's the
Yeah.
deal. We don't do these trips. If it wasn't for our donors, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. And we're talking about putting kids through school, feeding them. We're talking
Right.
about mission trips. We're talking about building homes. We're talking about just an empowerment program in Guatemala where we actually get Guatemalan teams to build homes for their neighbors. I mean,
That's
there's
awesome.
all kinds of things that we do besides just bringing people on mission trips. It's
Right.
always plugged into a bigger goal, a bigger vision,
Sure.
and that's always developing. But all of that is done with fundraised
Yeah.
dollars. So
Yeah.
so yeah, I would say missiondiscovery.org, and then they've got a donate button on that screen, and then just come on a trip. That
Yeah.
that always helps. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
What if somebody wanted to do a trip, but they're not involved in a church somewhere? Can somebody just
oh
join
yeah.
up with the trip that's already going, or
Bring it. Yeah.
you
Uh-huh.
can do that? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's how
I
we do.
didn't know
Yeah.
if you had to
Yeah,
be
we've
part of a
got
group.
yeah, we've got plenty of individuals that don't necessarily have a group to go with, but their hearts are
Okay.
stirred for a mission trip.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll partner them up. We work with separate teams and say, okay, is it okay if we tag somebody along with your group? And the answer is yes.
That's
So
great.
we yeah, uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, is there anything I didn't ask you about? I feel like you covered a lot. Is there anything I didn't ask that you wanted to tell me?
Goodness, I think you asked just about everything. I think you know, the blessing that has been mission discovery in my life is something that I want to share. I think that's my main purpose right now is, and it's what I tell the staff here too, is like we've got tons of trips and we've got tons of staff members that are able to lead those trips and be a part of those trips. And I always try to say, well, step back if you don't have to lead it and you've got somebody that can and is prepared
Right.
to and trained to lead trips, then why not let them lead or invite somebody that you are training or are, what I mean, pour into
Yeah.
these other people because mission discovery has been such a difference maker in my life and in every person here in their life too, that it's important to share that with others. And so that's kind of my
Absolutely.
goal is like I want people to experience what it means to travel and to share Christ with others and to, get your hands dirty a little bit, to step outside of yourself and serve. I think we can all serve more. And so why not
Absolutely.
start with something like this? Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's great. I hope that people that have been interested or questioning or, just wondering about it, they will be interested in your site and maybe somebody
Yeah,
plugged in. Thank you so much.
absolutely. Thank
I
you. This is
appreciate it.
great. You're
Good
great.
deal.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Thank
Easy
you.
to talk to.
It's fun. I enjoy it for
Yeah.
sure. So you
Awesome.
enjoy your evening and have a wonderful Thanksgiving.
All right. You too. Happy
Thank you.
Thanksgiving.
Alrighty.
Bye.
Bye bye.